So has the Obama White House failed to serve the needs of one of President Obama's core constituencies? And can President Obama win in November without the same level of minority voter turnout as in 2008? Joining me now with his insights on these topics and much more is Dr. Cornel West. He is a professor of African American Studies at Princeton University and a prominent voice in progressive American politics. He's also the author of nearly 24 books, the latest one being The Rich and the Rest of Us, a Poverty Manifesto, which he co-authored with Tavis Smiley. Professor West, thanks so much for joining us here on The Heat.
No, it's a blessing for me to be here with you.
Well, let me ask you this, and why don't I start with the incendiary comment that's getting bandied about quite a bit that you made, where you described President Obama as a black mascot of Wall Street oligarchs and a black puppet of corporate plutocrats. Would you ever want to walk back from that one, or do you regret saying it, or do you still stick by it?
No, I think I was trying to tell the truth, and I think it's still the case that 2008, when Barack Obama won in a victorious manner, that he then constituted a Wall Street government rather than a Main Street government, meaning Tim Geithner, meaning Larry Summers, a whole host of folks intimately connected to Wall Street. And I was very upset because I view wealth inequality as one of the most pressing problems. 1% of the population owned 42% of the wealth. 1% of the population obtained 83% of the income growth in 2010. That strikes me as morally obscene. You cannot sustain a precious experiment in democracy with those levels of wealth inequality. So I know I wouldn't take those words back at all.
So has he failed African American voters, all those voters that lined up and supported him all along the way? Some of them who wrote their checks for $1, $5, sent the money in, were really looking forward to having him as president of the United States. Did he let them down?
Well, I think there's two levels to look at it. At the symbolic level, he has in no way let Black America down, because when you think in terms of symbols, you're talking about whether he's brilliant, whether he's capable, whether his family projects a positive image for Black America. In that sense, he has not let Black America down at all. I believe he's let Black America down. I believe he's let America down in terms of substance. And by that, what I mean is public policy that still tilts much too much to the well-to-do, as opposed to dealing with poverty, to dealing with the plight of working people. So in that regard, it's not really primarily a racial affair. It's a matter of class. It's a matter of economic injustice. Right now in America, you have to make a choice in terms of whether you're going to bring a critique to bear on oligarchs on Wall Street, plutocrats in corporate America, or whether you're going to highlight poor and working people. His policies have been much more the former than the latter.
I was talking to a friend of mine today, and he asked me, well, who's going to be on The Heat? And I told him it was you, and he's very excited. He said, well, what are you going to talk to him about? And I said, he's got some criticisms of President Obama. And this friend said, well, you know, I've got criticisms of President Obama too, but I don't think Dr. West should be doing that, because, you know, he's a black president. We finally have one. We should support him. And he's got such a powerful voice within the black community. I think he should be saying nice things about President Obama. Are you getting that from others? I mean, are other people saying that to you?
Oh, sure. No, very much so. I think there's a large number of people who say that to me. And I say, of course, that my calling is Socratic, which is to raise unsettling questions, and it's prophetic in terms of trying to tell the truth about the suffering, not just in the black community, not just in America, but in the world. I was blessed to be in China just a year ago. I met some magnificent people, just like there's magnificent people in America, but even there, I wanted to tell the truth about the suffering of my Chinese brothers and sisters vis-a-vis powers that be. I do the same thing in Ethiopia. I do the same thing in Guatemala. So part of it, I think part of the problem is people would like me to get along and go along with the mainstream, and that's not what I'm here for. That's not what my life is all about.
Well, let's give President Obama equal time. He said to Black Enterprise magazine last week, I want all Americans to have opportunity. I'm not the president of Black America. I'm the president of the United States of America. But I'll put my track record up against anybody in terms of us putting in place broad-based programs that ultimately had a huge benefit for African American businesses. Agree or disagree?
No, I think when he makes that kind of statement about I put my record up against various other presidents, you can look at LBJ. Does his record look as good as Lyndon Baines Johnson? Does his record look as good as Bill Clinton? It certainly looks better than George Bush, 1 and 2. it will certainly look better than Mitt Romney. As you know, I'm a critic of the system, and so there's no doubt that Barack Obama is better than Mitt Romney when it comes to the plight of working and poor people. But in terms of the system itself being shot through with too much corruption, rigged in such a way that it tilts toward the rich and the powerful, that's what my critique has brought to bear. So when he talks about putting his record up against other presidents in the past, we're not just talking about Republicans, we're talking about Democrats as well.